Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Hello, wherever you're watching from. And hello, Tom Hanks. How is everyone today? You have stumbled right on in to Kari's Corner. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so excited that you're here. So excited to talk about the topic of the day, which is the TOEFL. So excited to talk about just all things English language exam. Remember, a couple things as you're tuning in. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you're watching from. You can also feel free to ask any questions that you may have. It doesn't have to be about the TOEFL. It can be about the IELTS, the PTE, the TOEIC, the OET, the MET, whatever testing questions you have or whatever worldwide questions you have. I am here to answer all of those questions for you. So remember, it doesn't have to be completely related to what we're talking about today. But we are going to get started with a few announcements and updates, a couple of testing updates that I'm excited to announce. I did find out this week that the OET, which you guys may be familiar with the OET is unfortunately known as the most expensive of the language opportunities. But I reached out to the OET and asked them and let them know, like, hey, people are like, I would love to take your test, but I don't want to spend that much money. Had a nice discussion, had a nice response from them, but they do offer like geographic coupons or discounts, if you will. They recently did one in the Philippines, and they did tell me that next time they do one or anything like that, they will let me know so that I can then talk about it and let you know, because your girl is all about the discounts. All of it. If it's on sale, it's for me. Free 99. That's what I'm looking for. I doubt they're going to give you one for free, but they will give you one at a discount. So that does come from the OET, and I will keep track of those things and let you know about them as I hear about them. Second is, this is kind of cool, and not by kind of cool, I mean, it's pretty darn cool. PTE has launched, they've partnered with, if you're in the process of reviewing, you've heard of an app or a program called Mondly. So that's Mondly, Mondly. But the PTE has purchased Mondly, Pearson is Person Mondly. They've joined together and they have launched an AI conversationalist. I was going to say like chat box, but that they already had the chat box. You could practice your writing there. But they've launched an artificial intelligence platform to where you can have a conversation with this AI person, and her name is Luna. So do yourself a favor, check out you can download the Mondly app for free, and you can have a conversation with Luna for free. Now with Mondly, there are, I hate to say it this way, but all the good stuff you have to pay for. Isn't that stink? All the good stuff you have to pay for. But you do get to do and try a lot of different things for free to see if it's something you do want to purchase. Now, I had a conversation with Luna yesterday. Hello in Kenya. Thank you for watching. I had a conversation with Luna yesterday, and she struggled. I messaged my contact at Pearson. Shout out to Meredith. And she struggled to understand my Southern accent. So it was an interesting conversation, but hello in Oman. It's interesting. She does take a few minutes to kind of interpret what you're saying and figure out what she should say back. But she asks some really good questions, like, are you into sports? What do you like to do? Do you like to go outside? So it's a really great way to practice just that general conversation. But again, that's on the Mondly app. You can download that for free from the App Store. I know with iOS and Android, and you can have a free conversation with Luna. The other thing I was really excited about was Tagalog. I always say it wrong. I always say the Filipino language wrong. I used to say Tagalong, and that's a Girl Scout cookie here in the United States. That's totally wrong. But that is now available on the Mondly app. So I'm going to try to learn some of the Filipino national language, because I can't even pronounce what that language is called. What is up? Hey, in Ghana, Lewis is preparing to head your way, and Farah, For those of you who don't know, Farah is the fearless leader of our HRPC team, and Lewis is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but Farah has a piece of my heart. She's amazing. So if you're in Ghana, please go see Lewis and Farah. They would love to meet you. Hello in Nigeria. Hello in Kenya. I think I already said in Oman. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for dropping in the chat who you are and where you're watching from. Today is National New Friends Day. I know, you don't get to go outside and yell today. That's what you got to do last week. Today is National New Friends Day, and this is a great day to make room for new connections in your life. You can share Kari's Corner with a friend. You could watch Kari's Corner. You're right now, you're watching Kari's Corner with all sorts of new friends from all over the world. But if you know a nurse friend, make sure, and you're part of Worldwide, check out our referral program. Also, in a great way to make some really good side money, referring friends to Worldwide HealthStaff Solutions. If they accept and sign an offer with Worldwide, you get paid. Pretty legit stuff, right? It's pretty cool. I like it. So here we go with our presentation for today. First up, the live report. I have a news segment for you called Now You're in the Know. These are news updates live from Kari's Corner. And the purpose of Now You're in the Know is not to talk about the heavy, sad headlines that are happening in the United States and happening all over the world. These are headlines that are realistically in the news in the United States. This is what we care about here in the United States. It's like on the very, very top of the list of what we care about. You're going to be shocked. Are you ready? Your first report for Now You're in the Know is going to be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, fake news or true love? You think I'm kidding? How many Swifties are out there? How many of you all are big Taylor Swift fans? Goodness gracious. I know my girls are big Taylor Swift fans. And now everyone, not everyone, but a big chunk of the United States is obsessed with. People are like, is this actually a relationship? Or is it a publicity stunt for Taylor Swift and her Eras tour? And if that's what it's called, I don't remember. Or Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has a really good podcast, by the way. He does it with his brother. It's super funny. But Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I'm serious. If you look at the news in the United States, this is like major headlines. Are these headlines reaching anywhere else in the world? Does the rest of the world care about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce is an NFL, a National Football League, not soccer, American football. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if any of you all are Swifties, we're just obsessed with Taylor Swift everywhere. And we're obsessed to know if she's actually dating Travis Kelce. It's just so funny. This just amazes me. So let's move on from Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. If you decide to watch this episode of Kari's Corner, please comment and let us know. Is this fake news or is it true love? Which one is it? We're dying to know all over the world. Bless. This just cracks me up. It just cracks me up. All right, so let's move on to today's topic. Today's topic is a closer look at the TOEFL. A closer look at the TOEFL. Fake news or true love? You decide. I would love to hear your all's input on the Taylor Swift saga. It's just, bless. Whoops, I switched that screen out. So let's take a look at a summary of the TOEFL. So the length of the TOEFL has changed. The TOEFL is now only 2 hours in length, no longer 4 hours. This is huge. Huge test. This is way bigger than Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Way bigger. It's not bigger than Tom Hanks. He's always the biggest. But 2 hours in length. That leaves IELTS out there all on its own, being a 4 hour long test. Makes me nervous, IELTS. Might need to do some changing. The average cost of the TOEFL is $225. Now, it is important if you're registering to take the TOEFL, which if you're struggling with IELTS, I'm telling you, honestly, go for the TOEFL. Go for the TOEFL. If you're at a state where only IELTS and TOEFL are accepted, Give the TOEFL a try. I know that all of your friends are like, no, the TOEFL's hard. Don't do it. But if you ask your friend, did you actually take the TOEFL? They're going to tell you, no, they only took the IELTS. So give it a try. Give this new TOEFL a try. The average cost is $225. The TOEFL is recognized by all boards of nursing. Every single one of them recognizes the TOEFL. They all give it a thumbs up. It's recognized by CGFNS. It's recognized by Joseph Silney. It's recognized by universities all over the United States, all over the world. The TOEFL is a great option. It really, really is. Okay? Necessary scores, according to CGFNS, would be an 81 with a minimum of a combined 57 on reading, listening, and writing. You can get up to 30 points in each section. So 57 is pretty low. You don't have to do great in all three of those sections, okay? You could do really, really well in one section and still manage to get to the 57. And then a 24 on speaking. That's the TOEFL requirements. Now, 24 on speaking can be a little more difficult. Hello out there. Some states do require an 83 overall and a 26 on speaking, that's going to be difficult, but we'll see. I think the TOEFL is quite tough, especially the speaking. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that the speaking part's tough. I think it's getting the required speaking score that's tough, because I see a lot of 22, 23, even those of you that get to the 24 and you need to get to a 26. Getting the required score in speaking is really, really tough. But I would love to hear, Ven, what you found specifically challenging about the speaking portion. And did you take it when it was the longer test, or have you taken the TOEFL since it's been newly adapted and shortened into a 2-hour test? Because especially where speaking falls in the test, if you had taken it prior to it being adjusted, you had taken, all of your other tests and you're exhausted. So a lot of the time plays a really, really important factor on these tests, and time plays a really important factor on the difficulty of these tests. So I think that shortening the test overall is going to be really helpful. But I would love to hear, Ven, what you found specifically challenging about the speaking portion. So that's it. That's the necessary requirements as far as the TOEFL is concerned. A nice little summary for you. So let's do a brief breakdown of the TOEFL as it appears now. So the reading test is now 35 minutes long. Prior to this, the reading test was an hour in length. And it had, I want to say, between 40 and 60 questions. So there was like a question a minute with the reading portion. So it was pretty tough. The total number of questions now is 20. So you do have a little more than a minute on average with each question. You'll read passages and respond to questions. There are 6 different types of questions in the reading portion, but just some general tips to improve reading if you're really trying to beef up that reading score. Read magazines and news articles and practice taking notes as you read. Practice taking notes as you read, especially those of you who have been out of university for a while. You haven't had to do that for a while, so you got to get your brain back in that mode. When you're taking notes, you need to write down the main idea and the important or relevant information or details, but you want to keep your notes short, right? Because remember, this is timed. You don't want to spend all your time taking notes, and you don't necessarily want to get hung up on just one word that you don't understand. My advice is skim, read the questions, then go back and scan for the answers. But as you're skimming, take a couple notes, like main idea is this, important detail. You can even, don't write down important detail, just do a bullet note, a little bullet underneath it, like main idea, boom, then a bullet underneath. Here's an important detail, here's an important detail. That may answer some of your questions right there, just from those notes. So it is important to take notes during the reading portion, but don't get so caught up in writing complete sentences or anything like that. Keep those notes short. But the reading portion, like I said, 35 minutes now and only 20 questions. Not too shabby. I don't think. I think that is so much better than what it used to be. The listening test is now 36 minutes in length with 28 questions. The reason the listening test has more questions is because, good morning in Jamaica, Arlene. I hope you're doing well today. Is because a lot of it can be fill in the blank and a lot of it happens quickly. So just because you see more questions, it's because a lot of them are fill in the blank. So there are 7 question types. And you'll listen to 5 different listening audio recordings. You'll listen to 5 different recordings, 3 lectures, so 3 academic lectures. And remember, while you're listening, you kind of have to change your brain, right? Hello, Phyllis Smith from St. Lucia. Ooh, beautiful St. Lucia. Super jealous of you, Phyllis Smith. But back to the listening portion. My brain can't go on vacation yet. You have to change your brain because a lot of times when you go to university and you're in these classes, you're listening for information, right? You're listening to learn. Here, you're listening just to fill in blanks and answer questions. You're not necessarily listening to understand a lecture about archaeology or a lesson about psychology. You don't need to understand what they're talking about. You just need to be able to quickly listen and kind of translate. So this is actually really good skills if as a bedside nurse or as you're seeing patients and you're listening to them and you have to kind of type into the patient chart, you're multitasking, right? It's exactly what you're doing here. You're multitasking. You're listening and writing at the same time. But there are 3 lectures and 6 questions per lecture. And then you'll have 2 conversations. And there's 5 questions per conversation. A great way to practice for listening is going to be listening to podcasts. Like I said earlier, Travis, the Kelsey brothers have a podcast, and it's really, really funny. I don't know if I would necessarily suggest listening to that to help you prepare for the TOEFL, but it's a pretty good laugh. The types of podcasts I would suggest you listening to would be podcasts that, news podcasts. Those are great because they're going to cover a lot of different stories and a lot of different topics. So news podcasts are fantastic. Just make sure that because the TOEFL is American, you don't want to be listening to like the BBC. That's going to be British. You want to listen to an American news podcast. And I'm scared to recommend any, just because there's all in America, our news is very, can be very politically one-sided. So the 2 biggest ones, you have one side is Fox News, and then the other side is kind of CNN News. But for your purposes, you're not really listening to take a political stance. You're listening just for information and for practice, right? So Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, all of those are really great American news networks that have podcasts that you can listen to. So news podcasts are always fantastic. And as you're listening, take notes. Take notes as you're listening, okay? Practice writing down what you hear. Okay. The other thing that you want to listen to would be tone of voice. So you want to listen to how this person sounds. Are they calm? Are they nervous? Are they enthusiastic? Because some of these listening questions may ask you to infer. They may ask you to infer the tone of the conversation. It's going to be an academic conversation between usually either a professor and a student or 2 students on campus. And let's see, Sanusi, unfortunately you came in late, but you passed the NCLEX. Yay! Congratulations for passing the NCLEX. That's huge. That's fantastic. And you're preparing for the IELTS. Explain where to start. Well, today we're covering TOEFL, but IELTS is also, like I said, another, it is an option. I could ask, my question to you would be, why are you choosing to take the IELTS? Specifically, why is that your test of choice? The IELTS is 4 hours long. The TOEFL that I'm talking about today is only 2 hours long. So that's my question for you. Why are you choosing to take the IELTS instead of and it depends on where you're going, but you've also got TOEFL, TOEIC, PTE, OET, MET, so many testing options. I feel like out there in the world, so many people just jump to IELTS because that's what you've heard of, right? or you think that's the closest testing center. But have you done your research? Have you looked to see if there is a TOEFL testing center? If there's a TOEFL testing center, there's a TOEIC testing center because they're the same people. Pearson PTE is spreading out. The OET is working on spreading out. The MET is working on making itself more available globally. So do your research before you sign up to take a test. Do your research and be open-minded about your research, okay? So that's kind of listening. That's listening in a nutshell, the listening test. All sorts of fun to be had in a TOEFL listening test. But the big key, like I said, is the TOEFL is an American English. So you're not going to hear British and South African and all that other kind of stuff. So American English. They're probably going to be from like the Midwest, I would assume. They have the least strong accent to understand, I think. Tracy may have a different opinion, but I feel like they would have the least strong accent. The writing test. I hear a lot of people struggle with the writing test. And no matter if you're preparing for Pearson, TOEFL, TOEIC, writing is pretty much the same across the board, except for with the OET. They're very different. MET, same type of thing. You have 2 tasks, but TOEFL is now very different. A lot of people with IELTS struggle with that really big extended response, right? That really long, 40 minutes long extended response. Well, here you go. In TOEFL writing, the whole thing is only 29 minutes. 29 minutes, and you have 2 tasks. You'll read a passage, listen to a recording, and you'll type your response. Basically, what you'll do is you'll state and support an opinion that and it's going to be in what's called like an online classroom discussion. And I have some examples to show you guys of what that looks like. If you've never seen, in the United States, a very common platform is Blackboard for university. Another common one is Canvas is another really popular learning platform in the university level. So I'll show you guys what those look like so you can see how short the responses are. So if you don't want to write a big long essay, TOEFL, no more big long essays. Task 2, both of these tasks are scored by both AI raters, so artificial intelligence raters, and human raters. So you'll get a good idea between the 2. So the integrated writing task is 20 minutes. You read a short passage, you listen to a short lecture, and then you respond to what you read and listened to. And then you'll have, that's task. And task 1. Task 2 is a writing for academic discussion, and it's 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes for this one. You state and support an opinion related to a classroom discussion. So let me show you a little more about what I'm talking about with what TOEFL's done regarding their writing tasks. So what you see before you, this is a snapshot of an academic online discussion. Okay. This as you can see, it's a very short paragraph. It's very short. Now, I will tell you, these people who responded on these classes, their grammar is not very good. It's not very good. They don't start with capital letters, which is something that my 5-year-old can do. Their punctuation is not fantastic, but I just want you to see this so that you can see kind of when TOEFL was designing this question, what they were going for. And this is exactly what they're going for. It's you've read something, you've listened to something, and then you get to respond. Do you agree with what they're talking about? Do you disagree with what they're talking about? And it's short, sweet, and to the point. No big, long essay. You don't have time for a big, long essay. Okay? This is very quick, very honest, short discussion. Okay? The next one, the other one is just like a summary of what you've heard. So a great way to practice for this is to just read an article or listen to a podcast and then write a summary about what you heard. That's a 10-minute one. So the writing on TOEFL, massive change. So if you hate writing, give TOEFL a try. Give TOEFL a try. If you hate writing, I'm telling you what, this is way easier. TOEFL writing is now probably the easiest of the tests, to be quite honest. Their responses, this is how they grade you. Did you respond in a relevant and elaborate explanations? Do you give details, or do you just say, I agree with this and move on? You have to explain why you agree with it or why you disagree with it. And is it relevant? Relevant means, did you answer the question? Did you answer the prompt? So always go back and kind of check your answer, read the prompt again, read your answer, leave yourself like 2 minutes before the timer is up. Leave yourself 2 minutes, read the prompt again, then read your response just to make sure, yes, I answered the question, because that's number one. That's probably the number one way a lot of people lose points, is because they didn't actually answer the question. They were in such a rush that they didn't actually answer the question. Syntactic structures, precise idiomatic word choice. Basically what that means is, do you write in complex sentences, or are all of your sentences just very short and sweet? Are they very short, independent sentences? You have, dependent clauses and independent clauses. That's a whole grammar lesson. It's a whole grammar lesson right there that I could do and spend 30 minutes on. But varying your sentence structure, that's huge. I see that response always. Grammatical errors, spelling errors, word choice errors. Don't try to use really fancy language, right? Don't try to use big, lofty words, because if you don't understand it, and it's probably not going to make sense where you're trying to use it, okay? Check for common typos, common misspellings, or substitutions. For example, there are 3 different types of the word there. You have THERE, which is a location, THEIR, which is like ownership, and then THEY', which means they are. So which one are you using? Make sure you use that right way of spelling something. Isn't the English language great? We have 3 spellings for a word, and it means 3 different things. Same thing with to, T-O, T-O-O, T-W-O. English is hard. I don't care who you are. Even if it's your native language, it's still hard. Still hard. So let's break down speaking quickly. Estimated time for speaking. This is what some of you were talking about earlier. Hello in Ghana. You live in the UK. They have many different English. Yes. So the UK is very, OET would be an option for you. The UK definitely has a lot of OET testing centers, because to immigrate to the United and work in the United Kingdom, you may have had to already taken the IELTS or the OET. So they may not even have a TOEFL testing center. They should have a TOEFL testing center in the UK. But yes, they do have many testing centers. So make sure you check out all the different tests. Estimated time for a speaking section is 16 minutes. The total number of questions, you have 4 tasks, 4 different tasks. You'll talk about a familiar topic and discuss material that you've read and or heard. Question 1 is an independent speaking task. You draw from your own ideas, your own opinions, your own experiences. So a lot of people who struggle to come up with, a lot of people struggle like with the IELTS speaking task 2. They would probably struggle the most with question 1. That would be a difficult one for them. Question 2, questions 2, 3, and 4 are all what are called integrated tasks. So you'll have to use another skill like reading or listening to answer this question. So question 2, you'll be reading a passage about a campus topic, and then you'll listen to a conversation about the same topic, and you'll be asked the opinion of the speaker. So the great thing to prepare for question 2, going into question 2, you're going to be it's always going to be, I think, a guy and a girl that you'll listen to a conversation on question 2. They'll ask you the opinion of the guy, or they'll ask you the opinion of the girl. So you'll need to, what I always suggest here is to draw a T chart. Like you just make a straight line down your paper and do a T on the top. And you put guy on one side and girl on the other, or M for man and W for woman. Couple notes about how the man feels about it. Couple notes about how the woman feels about it. again, short, quick little bullet points. You're not turning this in for a grade. Doesn't need to be complete sentences. Your spelling doesn't need to be great. Just short, quick bullet points. How does the man feel? How does the woman feel? So that no matter if the question asks you, how does the man feel? You can respond. How does the woman feel? You can respond. Okay. Question 3, you will read about an important academic term or concept. Listen to part of a lecture that corresponds. So question 3 is, again, it's not going to be necessarily about, do you completely understand the topic? It's just going to ask you to what I call regurgitate. So basically just kind of spit out what you've heard. So you'll want to, again, kind of like you were doing in reading, write down the main idea, and then write down at least 2 bullet points underneath that describe what you heard and what you read. You may want to write down like how specifically, what the lecturer discusses about the reading. So point out the specific things that the lecturer talks about, draw connections. So if you've written down, if you read and you took notes about this topic was about archaeology. It was specifically about an archaeological dig in the Badlands. They found a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then you listen to the lecture and he's talking about the Tyrannosaurus Rex that they found in the Badlands. Circle that little bullet point, because then it's like a mental note to yourself, like, oh, this is the lecturer talked about this. If it's something the lecturer talks about that's not in the reading, you can make another bullet point, just put an L next to it. So this was mentioned in the lecture. However, this was mentioned in the reading. Differentiate between what you read and what you heard. Okay. It's all about labeling your notes and taking good notes in the speaking section. It's really what it boils down to. Question 4, you will only listen to a part of a lecture, and then you'll have 60 seconds to give a summary of what you've heard. So this is just all about how good are you at taking notes. That's really it. And again, so many people stress in their notes because they think they have to write down every single thing word for word. No, bullet points, very short, sweet bullet points. Do not stress yourself out over those types of things, over taking absolutely perfect notes, because you're not turning them in. You are not turning those in for a grade. So my speaking tips for you, if you finish too soon, so some of you will see you have 60 seconds and you've spoken for 50 of them. Don't just sit there and go, and repeat yourself, right? Don't repeat what you've already said. That's like number one thing. It's almost better to sit in silence for 10 seconds than it is to just go, if there's something you want to add, you think about, you look at your notes and say, additionally, the professor discussed another dinosaur they found on the dig. Done. Period. End. Develop your academic vocabulary. The TOEFL is very, very, very academic. It is designed for admission into a college institution. So the TOEFL is very academic. Develop that academic vocabulary. That's going to come from listening to news podcasts, reading short news articles. Read short news articles. Record yourself summarizing it. So set your camera up. Record yourself or not even your camera. You can just turn your microphone on and record yourself summarizing it. Find textbooks that have questions at the end of each chapter and work on answering those questions. So read the chapter and then answer the questions out loud. The less familiar you are with the topic, the better it's going to prepare you. Okay? The less familiar you are, the better it will prepare you. And you'll learn things too. You'll learn then you'll end up going on Jeopardy and winning Jeopardy and winning lots of money. If you don't know what Jeopardy is, it's a game show. It's fantastic. In the United States over here, it comes on at 7 p.m. I love watching Jeopardy. So that's all I have for you regarding the TOEFL. If you guys have any questions out there that I can answer, like I said, it doesn't have to be about the TOEFL. It can be about any of the tests. Just make sure you are following us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook, Kari Cooper, ESL Program Coordinator. I'm also on Instagram, Kari's Corner, Kari's, no apostrophe because Instagram doesn't let you do that, _corner on Instagram, or you can always email me. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions, or if you just have a comment about fake news or real love, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So If there are no questions out there today, you guys just tuned in and you just wanted to watch and absorb some wonderful TOEFL knowledge out there today. Don't forget, if you have already applied with Worldwide Health Staff Solutions and you're working with a case manager, let them know you would like to enroll in one of my free courses. But next week is going to be really exciting. Next week, tune in as we discuss holidays in the United States. And I will be not dressed as myself. We'll just say that. I'll leave you with that little tidbit of information. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in and learning more about the TOEFL exam. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. Make sure you join us next week for a really, really fun episode. That's all I have for you. Friendly reminder, don't face the corner, face the world with Worldwide. Have a great day, everyone.